The victims of gun violence in Uvalde, Texas, and Buffalo, New York, spoke directly to lawmakers on Capitol Hill on Wednesday. They told their painful stories in gut-wrenching detail, and they pleaded for action. Here's Mia Cerrillo, 11 years old and a survivor of the mass shooting in Uvalde.
He shot my friend that was next to me, and I thought he was going to come back to the room, so I grabbed the blood and put it all over me. And
what did you do then when you put the blood on yourself?
Just stay quiet, and then I got my teacher's phone and called 911.
Do you feel safe at school? Why not?
Because I don't want it to happen again.
And you think it's going to happen again?
Mia's father, Miguel Cerrillo, had this simple message for lawmakers.
I don't know what to do because I think I would have lost my baby girl. My baby girl is the world, not only once, but twice. She came back to us. She's everything, not only for me, but her siblings and her mother. I thank y'all for letting me be here and speak out, but I wish something will change, not only for our kids, but every single kid in the world, because schools are not safe anymore. Something needs to really change.
The mother of another Uvalde victim, Lexi Rubio, recounted the last time she saw her little girl. It was at an award ceremony at Robb Elementary the morning of the mass shooting. Lexi was recognized for receiving straight A's, and she received the Good Citizen Award. Her parents had promised to pick her up from school later and to take her out for ice cream to celebrate. That never happened. Lexi's mother said that final memory haunts her. She said she was speaking for her slain daughter as she demanded action from lawmakers in the room.
We don't want you to think of Lexi as just a number. She was intelligent, compassionate, and athletic. She was quiet, shy unless she had a point to make. But she knew she was right. She so often was. She stood her ground. She was firm, direct, voice unwavering. So today, we stand for Lexi, and as her voice, we demand action. We seek a ban on assault rifles and high-capacity magazines. We understand that for some reason, to some people, to people with money, to people who fund political campaigns, that guns are more important than children.
You would think that after listening to those pleas for help, that any lawmaker would do anything in their power to try and stop these tragedies from happening again. But some Republicans seem to have other concerns.
If we allow emotion to drive our actions, actions that have constitution-altering consequences, we will destroy the very foundation of our country and break faith with those who gave everything that we would be free. Evil deeds do not transcend constitutional rights. It's the other way around.
When I grew up, we would recite the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, taking a few minutes. And I know we've heard testimony that everything about America is racist, but I think that in our classrooms, we need to talk about our nations, our rights and our responsibilities.
Your quote, a threat to themselves or others, according to that law, determined to be, is defined by an anonymous tip that an American citizen, a threat to themselves or others. You're a police commissioner, a thin blue line brother, sworn to uphold the Constitution, and you're saying you'd seize those weapons. I see that as a problem.
After that hearing, the House ultimately passed a series of new gun measures. The Protecting Our Kids Act would raise the minimum age to purchase a semi-automatic weapon from 18 to 21 and ban high-capacity magazines. All but 5 Republicans voted against it. The package is objectively doomed when it arrives in the Senate, where a team of negotiators is still working on a much narrower set of proposals. But my question is, If the Senate is unmoved by those cries for help from the victims of gun violence and their families, can they be moved on anything? Joining me now is Democratic Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence of Michigan. She sits on the House Oversight Committee, which held that hearing with victims and survivors. Congresswoman, I struggle when I cover this story. I alternate between anger and tears because I don't really know how to handle the way it makes me feel to hear these stories and to feel like there's nothing that's being done. So I have to ask you from the beginning. What was the energy like in that hearing room yesterday? That was some really brutal testimony. What were you thinking as that hearing was unfolding?
Thank you for letting me have a voice here. It was compelling. The children, the parents talking about what they lived through during the time of being victims of this mass shooting. The tears that we shed, as well as the families, it was moving. And when I was making the statement that, ladies and gentlemen, if it was your baby in the small casket and you are burying your child because of gun violence, I don't think you want to hear about constitutional rights and about my right to own a gun. And the representative that was there from the Heritage Foundation stated, yes, I would. I would still fight for it. I said, well, then I will do what the Republicans do and wish you prayers and best wishes. Because where do we go with this? When does the reality of my right to shoot a pig and farm rodents supersede the protection and the rights to life, human beings? When can we get past that discussion? What is this sickness that we have just fed for this obsession with guns? Yes, I can own a gun, but when do I ever need to shoot multiple rounds of bullets to hunt, to kill rodents on the farm? I mean, if you want to shoot a pig, you can get a rifle or anything. Why do you need an assault weapon? The rationale and the common sense that my grandmother used to tell me is not so common, Brenda, is lacking in this debate, and the sense of having some compassion. And I have a saying that a politician without compassion is a criminal. And the debate and the lack of action, to me, is criminal.
You know, Congresswoman, part of the reason why we're not seeing action is because of the NRA. So I want to talk to you briefly about the NRA. In particular, there was a whip notice that was sent to Republican House members urging them to vote against these gun measures. That email said, quote, due to the importance of this issue, votes on this legislation will be considered in future candidate ratings and endorsements by the NRA Political Victory Fund. How is it possible that the NRA still has so much influence on members of the GOP?
When you look at our political structure, and we have candidates raising multiple millions of dollars just to stay in their seat, it's a reality now. And the NRA early on learned that if I can feed this sickness of guns, and attach to that the support so I can be more and more influential in votes to keep the industry. This is about an industry of sales, bullets, ammunition, guns. It's an industry that is $1 billion industry in America. And then you add the criminal aspect to guns in America. It is an industry that's being fed by threatening elected officials. If you don't do what I want you to do, I will not give you money, and I will push an agenda. See, they not only cut them off from their funds, they'll run ads against them. They will put up a candidate against them. They will make their lives living hell. And there are many of us on the floor who wears a F. You'll see it. And we get rated by the NRA. And I'm proud to say I'm an F-rated member of Congress. I failed all of their standards, and I'm proud of it.
Action has to be taken. Here is what President Biden had to say to Jimmy Kimmel on signing more executive orders on guns. Let's take a very quick listen.
Can't you issue an executive order? Trump passed those out like Halloween candy.
Yes, sir.
Isn't that something that could happen?
Well, I have issued executive orders within the power of the presidency to be able to deal with these, everything having to do with guns, gun ownership, whether or not you have to have a waiting, all the things that are within my power. But what I don't want to do, and I'm not being facetious, I don't want to emulate Trump's abuse of the Constitution and constitutional authority. And so, and I mean that sincerely, because I often get asked, look, the Republicans don't play it square. Why do you play it square?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? If we do the same thing they do, our democracy will literally be in jeopardy.
Well,
I mean, not a joke.
You know, Congresswoman, the president's position on this, frankly, bothers me because Kimmel is right. A GOP president wouldn't hesitate to issue an executive order. Do you agree with the president's reasoning on this issue, or would you like to see him take some more bold action with executive orders now so we could have a difference made?
We need all hands on deck. But I truly understand the hell we went through during the Trump administration, the hell of the fear that this thing we call a democracy was just totally eroding. America elected Biden to put us back on the checks and balances of a democracy. The three legs of our democracy, you know, the judicial, the legislative, and the executive. I expect for him to be in the confines of our democracy. But I also expect for him to be bold. And we are going to have all hands on deck to fight this, because how many more moments of silence and prayers and best wishes that we're going to continue to have? We're numb. We expect now every day to get a report, as we have, as you mentioned earlier, 250 mass shootings in this country already. We're becoming, is this norm? You know, you think about the Wild Wild West back in the day in our history, where when we didn't have local police, we'd just stand up and have a dueling match in the middle of the street, blow the smoke from our gun, dead bodies laid in the street, and it was normal. Haven't we advanced as a government? Haven't we advanced as a human race to have respect and compassion of life? The only purpose of a gun is to kill something. That's the only purpose. Have your gun for protection in your house, but carrying assault weapons and giving guns to children who are not able to buy liquor, but we're going to give them a gun. When are we going to wake up?
You know, Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence, it's not enough to say thank you, but I will. Thank you for your advocacy, and thank you for being here today, because your insight into what's going on, you know, on committees like you're serving on really makes a difference for us and our viewers. So thank you.
Thank you. And I still have hope for this country. We can't give up, but we can't not take action. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you.